I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life.
Hello, Redbirds, and welcome to week 7. New week, new hat. Spent some time on campus this weekend. Came down, played some golf at Wybring. Really had great weather, enjoyed it, all in support of the safety department. Why do I mention this? Because it's a risk that not only I myself, but 50 other safety professionals took to better our department at ISU. But because of COVID and the arena we live in, it was questionable whether we felt we should have the event or not. In the end, we decided that the risk was minimal. However, we did bring 50 people together that come from different environments, or some from Chicago. I come from Wisconsin. Some are on campus, and we brought them together to play golf, to fellowship, have a good time. And we there is a risk that we could spread COVID-19 if somebody was asymptomatic. Now, we would like to say that somebody that didn't feel well or felt that they could be a carrier or have COVID-19 at this time would not show up. That's being an adult and being responsible for yourself. So we felt that the risk of transmission and the risk of somebody getting COVID-19 was minimal. Now, one of the things we did discuss, because safety professionals get together and talk about safety stuff, is COVID-19 and how we as a society are dealing with it. I have 3 children. All 3 of my children in 4th, 3rd, and kindergarten are doing classes online. Most of colleges have gone online. High schools have gone online. And so what does this do? Well, now it protects us against the transmission and spread of COVID-19, prevents children from being exposed to it, and we are being safe as a society. But what else are we doing? We're risking the social development of children. In a year's time, if we're still in this holding pattern of whether people can be together and classes can, be face to face and teachers can be teachers again, if we go the entire time, then we're going to actually have a generation of students that are going to lack social skills. We have children now that are growing up. They're entering that young phase, your 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, where they need school to interact socially, but COVID-19 has prevented that. So, now we're risking their social skills development for the safety of society. So when does being too safe create more risk? And again, being a good consumer of risk, you as a parent, if you are a parent, we like to have decisions on our children. I would send my children to school. I believe that my family had COVID-19 last January. Some of us were pretty sick. My middle daughter was sick for about 2-3 weeks. All the signs and symptoms of COVID-19, and then she got better. She didn't have to be hospitalized or anything like that, but we treated like the flu because remember, in January and February, COVID-19 wasn't a thing yet. And then it became a thing. But a lot of you, think back, were you sick? Did you have a extra strength strain of the flu? Did your parents? Did somebody and could have been COVID-19? And then when you say to yourself, well, I have never gotten it and I've put myself into some risky situations, well, it could be because you've already had it. And that's not a preventative for you to not get it again. But once you have it, you build antibodies, and you help fight off the disease a little bit better. So I ask you to think about last year, January, December, November, flu season. Did you have an extra strength case of the flu that could have been COVID-19? Who knows? We're never going to know the answers to that. So as we move into week 7, coming up here, almost halfway through. This week we're going to be talking about occupational safety and occupational health and what it really is what we're going to talk about. So we're going to cover the history of safety and occupational safety. We're going to recover the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory and the Hawks Nest Tunnel. They're very important events in history that lead to the formation of some things, and they're very important to be talked about again. However, you're going to learn. We're going to go all the way back to the Egyptians and talk about safety back then. There's more on OSHA this week. It's a little snippet, but we do talk about OSHA and the General Duty Clause. And the reason I bring this up in this video is that is a portion of the course that you need to know. The General Duty Clause will be on your test. I will ask you what it means. There's 2 parts to it. You need to understand those 2 parts. You don't need to memorize it, but there's specific words that I'm looking for that need to be in your definition when you go ahead and answer that question on the test this week. Then we talk about the hierarchy of controls, very important. And so as you, we've learned what risk is, we've learned what risk perception is. Now we're talking about hazard identification this week also. And as we identify a hazard and we say that's a risk, now we're talking about on the safety side, the occupational side, how are we managing that risk? And that's where we talk about the hierarchy of controls, from top to bottom, the best ways to deal with it, all the way to the least preferred way. And it's important because that's a lot of what a occupational safety person does is risk assessment, hazard identification, and then we control it. And obviously the easiest way to get rid of a risk is either take the worker away or get rid of the risk altogether. And that's generally never an option. So that's the primary of what we'll be learning this week. I did cut a good portion of the this week's PowerPoint out. It is over the Bureau and Labor Statistics. I will make a separate video on that. I want to explain the website a little bit more in detail than I had in the past. So look for that second video. It will not be on the test. So look for that midweek, but it will be on week the third test or potentially the next quiz, but it will not be on the test this week. Moving on to this week, we are into debate week 3. For those of you that are doing your work, outstanding. I really appreciate it. Depending on the level of participation, I'm waiting for feedback from some students. We will be restructuring some of the cohorts. So I will message you individually if you've been moved to a different cohort or moved to a different week. I have to look at a couple of different factors on whether I want to move people or if we just don't have a week, a debate week 5. It was a poor showing this week on the debaters. Everybody that did do their work, excellent debates. Want to talk about one thing, and that is lighting. Let's get some lights. I want to see your faces. There's lots of shadow. I can tell who's doing theirs at night. I can tell you when you're doing it when it's a rainy day. Let's use some light. There are no points taken off for the first video for lighting. However, the second video you do, if I can't see your faces and you're not lit up, I should see the colors. You shouldn't be drab all the way through. There is going to be points deducted from the quality of your video. But your video's spot on. Your debates, great. I am finishing up the papers this week. And by Friday, when midterm grades are due, I have to turn in your midterm grades this Friday. When midterm grades are due, I will have all your papers, your first debate paper, graded and back to you for feedback on the midterm grades. I turn in midterm grades for everybody in the class. The reason being is some people have to have them. So I turn in midterm grades for those that need them. They will be posted. The other ones, it's not relevant to you guys. but everybody's grades gets turned in. Finally, this week is test number 2. Test number 2 will open up on Wednesday. It will close on Sunday. Obviously, the grades are due on Friday, so that will be not in this your midterm grade. If there are questions about your grades as they start populating, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I do caution you on one thing, is that it is a running total. So if you had one assignment worth 10 points, you get 100% of that percentage. If you had 2 assignments worth 10 points and you only did one of them, you're only getting 50% of that percentage that is in the grade book. Reach out to me with any questions. Let's keep moving forward on these debates. Good answers, good questions. I like to see the participation. And again, remember, if somebody doesn't do their part, you don't lose any points. So hopefully everybody focuses this week, and we get some good quality debates.